All right, Mariners fans, listen, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I'm also not going to freak out. Not yet. Yes, the Mariners right now are suffering from division lead shrinkage. We've seen a 10-game lead in a week go down to 4.5, but the Mariners end a crappy road trip on a positive note and are headed back to T-Mobile Park where they kick some ass. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, Julio going 3 for 33 on the trip. Not very good defense. Just overall not hitting by the team. And yes, the hated Houston Astros being one of the hottest teams has brought us back to this situation of a close pennant race. But guess what? That's fun. That's good. You know, listen, when you are the hunted, it is much more scarier than being the hunter, right? Well, anyways, we're going to talk a little bit about that, about also how the fans are freaking out, because that's always fun to poke a little fun at. Also, listen, All-Star game right around the corner. No, the Mariners didn't get any players voted in. Voting just closed. But for Logan Gilbert and George Kirby, it's looking pretty damn good. And also, maybe a shot for Cal Raleigh to make the Midsummer Classic. We're going to be talking about all that. Plus, if you're listening to this on the podcast side, you are also getting a bonus Wake and Bake episode with me and actor, comedian, and DJ Vladimir Perez. You know, on that show, we kind of look at things a little bit more league-wide, but it is still very Mariner-centric because, come on, I'm on the goddamn show. We're going to talk about Cody Bellinger and Matt Chapman. Why are we going to talk about them? Because remember, Mariners fans were pretty interested in both of those in the offseason, so we're just kind of seeing where they ended up. We're also going to talk about Pete Alonzo. Vlad's from New York, involved with people in New York and seeing what they are saying about the Pete Alonzo. We're also going to, touch on the Mariners' lead evaporating. We're going to touch on Edwin Diaz, our former Edwin Diaz, now a suspended player for an illegal substance. Plus, we're going to take a look at this Grimace mania that is going on and the origins of Grimace. We're going to hate on the Houston Astros, take a look at the AL and NL wild cards, and we're going to talk about Derek Jeter's historic dating past. And if you're like, hold on, wait a second, that sounds like good shit. I want to hear that, but I also want to see it. Why is that not available on YouTube? Well, you're in luck. It is. Just check here on the Rye Bread Mustard, a Mariners podcast channel. Just look for Wake and Bake. You'll find it. Anyways, this intro is long as fuck. I need to shut the hell up and get the rye bread started. And with me to unpack everything and unwind everything and get us back on track is my boy CJ over in the Valley of the Sun. Actually, you've upgraded to heaven. You're in Hot Dogs for Heaven.
Yeah, hot dogs for heaven, man. Happy
Speaking of the shirt, you found it last show there in the Girl, and it looks like, at least on the stream, you went with the mint.
I did go with mint. Yeah, it's a unique color.
To
accent the eyes and go with the hats.
It's a very refreshing. Every time I think of mint, I always think of the mint that they would have after you would go to Azteca. Those are the best chocolate mints.
Yeah, I miss Azteca. That was great. Yeah, good call.
Yeah, those were good times. The Ballard Azteca on Market was my favorite. I know there was the one down on Show, but the Ballard one, that's when my parents wanted to splurge. We'd take the whole family down there, and that's where I was always mesmerized by the sizzling fajitas.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff for sure.
Just a showstopper, right? At all points. So look, Mariners fans are freaking out. I know we had some comments last show where people were like, or on the last show where people are like, one crazy person that was like, fans are not freaking out. Fans are not fighting. First of all, that's bullshit. In sports, fans are never happy, are they?
Never happy. It doesn't matter. I think we've been talking about, we know there's going to be a move probably made, around the trade deadline, but then that's not going to be the right move. We didn't give up enough. It's just the, typical, I think I'd say Mariners fan, right? I mean, we've lived it since as long as you can remember, but we need something. It's not going to be enough. Everyone's going to complain. No one's going to be happy. I don't know if we'll be happy until we win the World Series or a couple World Series, and who knows when that will happen. But that's when I think we'll start seeing some happiness.
Yeah, it's like you're right. You said it right there. It's like you either gave up too much or you didn't do enough. That
Yeah.
is Mariners. That is. I think a lot of teams, but I really think that is basically what the Mariners uh, fan. If I had to like describe like what's a line of dialogue you hear the most? Well, it's one or two. Didn't do enough,
Yeah.
or we're
We
giving up.
didn't spend enough money.
Yeah. I remember when they got Castillo a couple years ago, that was like way, way, way too much. Well, right now we've been winning that trade, especially for the window. I know some people like Reds fan, my friend Billy would say, no, no, no. I'm talking about right now. It's benefited
Yeah.
what the Mariners have done. And those guys haven't been impact guys yet for a sustained amount
Yeah,
of
I
period.
mean, well, there's injuries and like even getting clipped for PEDs and stuff. So I'd say, yeah,
Or
from that trade specifically, we definitely won.
look, the Mariners are going to make a move. Uh, we've talked about that last episode and the episode before that, and episode before that, and episode before that. We're going to avoid talking about that. So if you're listening to talking about who we're going to get, we're going to intensify that talk. But right now, nothing is going to really happen. I just don't think until at least after the All-Star break. That's when you're going to start seeing it ramping up. That is definitely a schmoozing and networking time for baseball is the All-Star game.
Yeah, I think that's right. All the GMs are getting together. We'll see the talent of the All Stars. We'll hopefully get maybe one or two of those guys that we'll see in the All Star game coming our way. But yeah, that's where I think the negotiations take place for ramping up towards the trade deadline. I think outside of like the winter meetings or whatnot. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
it'll be an important time.
Yeah, the last two All-Star games, I was lucky enough to be able to go to them and be part of the week. And it was Juan Soto down here in LA the year before in 2023. Last year was obviously the Otani talk, and
Yeah.
that's going to definitely intensify. Yeah, and you see players talking to each other, especially on the workout days, all that kind of shit. Some recruiting going on. We'll talk about the All-Star game here on this pod. We'll talk about or who we think is going to make it from the Mariners. Obviously, the voting has just stopped today. I don't think any of the Mariners were on top, but that doesn't mean Mariners aren't going to be in the All-Star game. They have to have one. I think we're going to see two. Maybe we're going to see three. We'll talk about the Mariners losing the lead. We're not going to avoid that. I know Hannah was like, I don't want to hear no peaches and cream shit because they won game 3 of the Tampa Bay series. But we also have to remember, hey, the Mariners kick ass at home. Well, anyways, let's get to all of that shit right after this.
Get ready to play hardball in the Kingdom.
Take me to the ball game. I want to see the Ants. The Mariners are playing hardball. Did it again and again and again. Did it again.
Princess Tours, the vacation company, brings you the best show in baseball when the San Diego Chicken plays hardball with the Seattle Mariners and the Baltimore Orioles tonight in the Kingdom.
Hello.
Well, Grandma, Jared Kelnick, no longer a Mariner. He's an Atlanta Brave. What's your feelings on it?
My feelings are on this is that I really don't care. He wasn't one of my favorites. The one that kicked the water cooler?
That's who he is. He was very passionate.
Yeah, well, maybe he could go get a job with the Seahawks as a kicker if things don't work out with a lot of Braves.
So you didn't like his attitude?
No, I didn't care for him at all. But I was always under the impression that you kind of liked him when they brought him in up there. Does Hampton like him? Well, he wasn't my favorite, I'll tell you that. So I can't, I wish him luck, but I can't shed any tears over him going. And leave the rest of the team kind of alone.
I always forgot that Odyssey part comes in. I gotta clip that off. So
I just picked. I just opened up the All-Star voting like updates right now.
Yeah,
and I was surprised to see how many Astros are leading, like Altuve, Tucker, and Alvarez.
All three of them are deserving of an all-star nod. That's the thing. Like, if you go to the DH position, like it's Alvarez or
Yeah, it's Alvarez or Stanton.
yeah, it's Alvarez or Stanton. You don't have Ohtani there anymore. That was the shoe-in, right?
Yeah, the thing
and then-
that's the thing that hurts a little is that Teoscar is leading in the outfield, and also you see Ketel Marte out there for the National League.
Yeah, there's yeah. I'll try to refrain from the Teoscar comment. I have like a streak of bringing that up. We just heard the clip right there of Grandma Norma still doesn't like Kelnick, but I do want to say this right off the bat. It sucks that Jared Kelnick right now has more home runs than Julio Rodríguez. And I am, and honestly, just having a better season. So far it bugs me, but listen, I will give credit where credit's actually. I don't know if it's. He's played good. Look, 278 OPS, just under 8.
I think it was just it was a change of scenery that he needed.
Yeah, and look, 212 at bats. They're putting him in positions to succeed.
I think he's leading off too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I don't think he hits tough lefties or many lefties, or sometimes I should say he does play. I did see him play against lefty, but like the Braves are managing that. I think too, you on a Braves team, you're not asking so much from him, where here a lot of the time it was hey, you gotta help us, you gotta save us, especially in 2021 when they brought him up. There's just too much on him. But yeah, you look at Julio, just talked about this on Wake and Bake. He's got 100 more at bats and 1 less home run. He's only got 4 more RBIs. Obviously his OPS is lower, only hitting 252.
Both those. Does it show strikeouts on these or no?
Well, I'll tell you this: Julio in the last 7 games here has struck out 7 times, 15 times in the last couple of weeks, and in the last month 33. As far as this season, he's got 95 strikeouts. I'll go back over to Jared Kelnick. I would assume less strikeouts because less at bats.
Yeah, probably.
But hey, that was an issue for him too.
Well, that was the issue, right? Our whole the thought process was that we're going to strike out less this year, and now we're like over 800 leading the league.
The Mariners are on pace to shatter the record of like the all-time strikeouts, and your whole identity or what your
philosophy, the philosophy of the offseason.
Rid of it. The whole philosophy of the offseason failed again. It failed last year. The only thing in 2022 to 2023 that worked out in the offseason was Teoscar Hernandez, who's no longer here.
Everybody and now we're going after a bat like that at the trade deadline, which just blows my mind.
Yes, and this year's philosophy was less strikeouts, and you got more, historically more. So the last 2 off seasons, regardless of the outcome of what happens this year, have been failures.
And I keep thinking about Dipoto. I mean, obviously he's a great GM, great mind. He's very pitcher focused, if that makes sense. And it feels like, I don't know if he needs help from someone who's more offensive minded or is great with getting bats. But there's something there, right? Like we have such a great pitching staff, at least starter wise. And I know we've been drafting young bats in the last couple drafts, but I mean, from a free agent trade perspective, I mean, you look at Mitch Garver, he's not doing much, and Polanco, he's not doing much. I mean, they're both been kind of failures. And on the Polanco thing, he's Polanco, but you almost think you'd want Bliss out there every day the way that he's been hitting.
Yeah, and the only person I will say one trade of the offseason that has worked out that I've liked is Luke Raley. Outside of the Raley, outside of that, and outside of Stanton, which has nothing to do with the offense, the offseason was a failure, no matter what happens. Because if you add, or I don't see things really changing and turning with the current roster. I do believe you have to add. If you're going to play with the top teams, the top tier teams, which the Mariners aren't in right now. I'd say they're in the second tier. They're not up there with the Yankees. They're not up there with Baltimore. They're not up there with the Dodgers. They're not up there with the Phillies. They're not up there with the Braves. Those are top tier teams. And then you have the Clevelands, the Seattles. I'd even say Houston right now, second tier team, playing right now. Doesn't mean they can't go up to the top tier or those other ones regress, but as of right now, they're not. And you also asked me what Jared Kelnick's strikeouts were. The last 7 days, he's got 8 strikeouts. Last 15 days, he's got 18 strikeouts. Last 30 days, he's got 29 strikeouts. So they're similar. They're in a similar strikeout pace.
What's the 2024? I think if you scroll down, it'll show you 2024 today.
2024 on strikeouts, he's got 67. So he's got what, 20?
Probably depending on bats too, right? Like the bats are different.
Yeah. So his strikeout rate is actually higher than Julio's, which I would already have guessed, but just the way this season was going, I wasn't sure because Julio had a rough road trip. That was the lead in to talk about this was 3 for 33. I mean, he needs some home cooking. I mean, nothing will get him going more than a Friday night Jack wearing the City Connects. Is it on Apple TV? No, I don't think so. But they definitely need something like that. And listen, the current roster, the way it is, current offense, it only goes if Julio goes.
Yeah. It's all built around Julio. Julio is just not doing it right now. And it's like, I mean, like he has such a huge weight on his shoulders, but it's just not happening for him. And yeah, like you said, like you gotta feel bad for him, but there's a point where you can feel bad as a fan, but like you're Julio, you're getting the money. We need to see some performance, make some adjustments. Like I don't know what it is, but it's sad to see right now. But hopefully it'll turn around with this, home cooking. Some hot dogs from heaven might help them.
Yes, all of them need some hot dogs from heaven, hot dogs, hits, and runs from heaven. That's what the Mariners need in this home
cooking. A lot of trying.
Yeah, and as you look at the scroller right here, the Mariners are the best in MLB.
Since May 27th, they're 12-2, which is the best. 27-12 at home, which is third best. And then some other random stats for like 9-2 when the crowds are over 35,000, which is the best in the major leagues. 11 consecutive series opener wins, which is a franchise record. And then 9 consecutive series wins, which is the most since 2001. So, we don't have the offense of 2001, but we're having some of the wins at home that we had in 2001.
Yeah, for sure. It's a bizarro world because we were just looking this up. Last few years, you felt like, man, they felt better, played better on the road. And they were 5 games last year over 500 on the road. The year before that, they were 7 games over 500. And the year before that, 7 games over 500. And I think right now there's 7 or 8 games under 500 on the road. So it's going to take a good second half. Look, you do have some cupcake series, you'd think. I thought maybe the Tampa Bay series was going to be one, or Miami. Both teams playing decent baseball though right now, and you do have those peaks and valleys for each team, but you are seeing right now the wear and tear on the arms already, and Woo's injury here sucks. And what happened last week with Hitchcock? Didn't he leave the game with some soreness as well? And
back soreness.
And then Bryce Miller, it just looks like he's lost some speed on that fastball. Probably again, he's pitching more than he ever has.
Yeah. But you would hope that, through at least where we are in the season, that the batting, you're seeing the ball better and you're hitting the ball better. That's just not happening because over time, they're pitching so much, they're going to get tired. and we're asking a lot of the starters because our bullpen hasn't been great, so we're trying to squeeze as much of that out of them. That's causing injuries, so it's all kind of working against us right now, and like we really need that offense. And so hopefully this homestand we'll see some stuff. And it's interesting. Like I always thought we had a hard time playing at home, but now we're like killing it at home, which is very different from years past.
Yes. And I hope that, I could see that trend continuing. I would hope they'd have a better pace than a 3-6, in the next 9 games or so. But the opponents are not cakewalks. In fact, Minnesota beat our ass in Minnesota, and Baltimore just looks like a better team. So right off the bat, that's tough. And you're looking at a Toronto team. They're playing the Yankees this weekend, but in the wild card, they're 5 or 6 back, I believe. They're beat up, but they're playing right now just to hang on. And you know what kind of crowd Toronto pulls at T-Mobile Park. So this is a tough road stand. This is a tough road stand. This is a tough home stand, even though they are home, and they're definitely not playing really great right now. And you have Munoz. Seems like he really has not been the same since that collision in Oakland. And the arms are tired and the bats are flat. It's kind of scary. It's kind of scary to think about these teams coming in. Definitely when you have given up half of the lead that you had a week ago. You had a 10-game lead. You're down to 4.5. It melted away like Frosty the Snowman. That is a fact.
Like happy that we're still in first place right now with the way that we're playing. It's like we got, both Houston and Texas blowing up. It's breathing up our backs, but it's a little bit of a surprise that we're still in first. But we just got to keep going.
I'm surprised that you gave up 5.5 games in a week. One of the hottest teams in baseball right now is the Houston Astros, the gatekeepers of the American League since 2017, either in the ALCS or the World Series. And guess what? The other team right behind them, only 7.5 out. Well, I shouldn't say only 7, but 7.5 out. But if you go look at the wild card, they're not very far out either. And that's the whole thing. I want to just get Houston out of it completely. But they're hot right now. We knew they were going to get hot. Texas is going to get healthier. The corresponding moves later are a prerequisite, a demand. They're going to have to get help. Right now, I feel like up until the All-Star break, if you can play 500 or just about a little over 500, because after this you have 2 games in San Diego and 4 games in Anaheim. That's the next road trip. That should be a winning road trip. I thought this last time was going to be a winning road trip, but you did.
Yeah, last time we chatted, it was like, oh, we're going to Miami, we'll kill it. Now and Tampa Bay, and
it is. Things have changed in a week. Things have changed since the last time we talked, and the Mariners fans are fucking losing it. But also, to be fair, we were talking about this. This is something new. This is a new feeling since 2001 and 2 of like having leads during the summertime in the division. We're usually just trying to scrape in there every year. So you do have to.
We're playing competitive baseball. Like if you're able to watch, however you watch the games, it's actually competitive. It actually means something. It's not just white noise or something you put on the background like it's been in years past, recent years past. You always have the game on, it's there, but now it's like you can pay attention and actually mean something. It's meaningful baseball, which I think is what we've been asking for a very long time. And then we made the playoffs, a couple years ago, but this feels more like, hey, we're in it. We're not struggling. We're struggling a little bit, but at least we're leading right now. Like we're in a good spot. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing, hit better, and stay in first place.
Yeah. And when you are following a first place team, you have signed up for a different kind of stress.
Yeah.
And that is division shrinkage. When the division shrinkage happens, that is a different kind of stress. When you're watching teams gaining on you, it's a different kind of stress. When you're being the hunter, it's exciting. When you're getting hunted, it's fucking terrifying. And the Mariners fans are losing their shit. And there's and by I mean Mariners fan losing their shit. There's the people losing their shit. There's the people saying, chill out, hold on, unclench your butt. But again, the fans are never going to be happy.
That's right.
You were sending me something that you said that was it J Trident or Trident J or
Trident True is
Trident True? What can you tell me what that was about?
It's basically saying that it's time to trade Julio, and talking about Julio being Dustin Ackley. It was just Debbie Downer begging on Julio. It was a bad it was a bad rabbit hole to go down to click and read through the comments. It's just like that's like the worst possible Mariner fans are responding to that, and it's just not something you want to get involved in. That's the way I looked at it. So I just closed it, but I sent it to you because I thought it was funny.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's like overreacting, just unhinged behavior. Like he's not getting traded.
There was one thing I noted in all the comments on that Julio getting traded and begging on Julio was that there's a comment that says sources say that Julio and his girlfriend have broken up, so he might be dealing with some heartbreak.
Really?
So but I don't know if it's confirmed or not. And so then it's like, so maybe he needs to find a new girlfriend and go hit like 40 home runs. But
well, my Grandma Norma is going to be very happy to hear that he broke up because he thought that was the distraction.
He needs a distraction if that's the issue.
Norma says he's young and he's got plenty of time for that. She's 93. She wants this World Series championship.
Don't we all?
Yeah. I feel 93 on the insides as a American fan, Yeah. I wanted to talk about though too. I know that we could sit here and harp on the team. They played like shit. All right. I'm not gonna we talked about it. Julio's, gonna take the brunt of it because he's the star. 3 for 33. You gotta be better than that. Looks like he's just frustrated because he's getting busted in it. He's getting busted in all the time. So he just looks very frustrated. And all the other people got to perform better. Defense wasn't as good as it should be on this trip, but here's the highlights. Logan Gilbert, George Kirby, I think right now 1A and 1B for all-star selections if the Mariners had representatives, which they should, especially if they're still in first place, knock on wood, by the all-star break. And I think with a strong showing here in the next couple of weeks, if he keeps trending the right way and playing the way he's been playing, Cal Raleigh, I think, has a decent argument to be on the team. That batting average is atrocious, but everything else that he does, the home runs, the clutch, the team leading, everything, he definitely deserves to be on the all-star team. For
defense, right? Like his defense is amazing. The way he calls the game, and he's he's a leader that's working with those pitchers out there, right? So he's keeping them under control, and so he's a big part of that.
Yeah, and I look around the league right now. I'm gonna pull up MLB catchers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because right now in the American League for All-Star voting, it's Adley Rushman and then Salvador Perez.
Okay, and both of those guys deserve to be on the All-Star team.
Agreed.
And then after that, that's what I mean. Then I think, how many catchers are you gonna carry on the All-Star team? I would say 3.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
And so I feel like it's not bad to have maybe 4, because you want to keep all these players healthy, and like catching's, these guys need those days off. Well, let's just go, but since it's our fantasy for him to be there. Let's go to Fantasy Pros. Let's pull this up. Right now, Adley Rushman's still number one on this list. Diaz on Houston, Cal Raleigh, Salvador Perez, Logan Ohapi. See, certain teams are going to have a representative, so that's where
Yeah.
you kind of get screwed on a position.
Right. Yeah.
Because you could be a deserving whatever first baseman, and there's not enough first basemen, but then and you're like, well, I'm like the third or the fourth best first baseman in the league. But guess what? The White Sox have to send a first baseman. Well,
yeah, right.
So
And
I don't
imagine that Logan's probably the best the Angels have right now, I'd imagine, from a prospect and player perspective.
Yeah, you're right. Like, so I think when we look at those players, I feel like Cal right now is definitely on the bubble for the All-Star team. I feel like Logan Gilbert, as long as Logan Gilbert and George Kirby have just like one more decent start, they don't have to have a 8 or 7 inning scoreless for them to make the team. I think they're right there. And I think, like, look at Logan. We already know that he had 8 games, an 8-game stretch where the Mariners, while he was in the game, while he was on the bump, while he was throwing the ball to the catcher, past the hitters, he was only getting a half a run. He had the ghost of Felix Hernandez's run support
so bad
deep inside him. And we've seen that with George Kirby too. I mean, George Kirby has pitched his ass off. There's been so many games that I don't know, they kind of blur into last year too, but where he's put you in a position to win and it just doesn't work out. But look, they're both over 500. And look at their whips, look at their innings, look at their strikeouts. They are deserving. I think Luis Castillo, you could have made a case for him a month ago.
Yeah.
Of like potentially doing it, but he seems like he's fizzled out a little bit. And I think the only other player that you were like, maybe you could see an all-star if we were talking a month ago, and that was Josh Rojas, but he's come back down to earth.
Yeah.
So,
yep. Yeah. And from an ERA perspective, Logan is 7th and Kirby is 17th from a stats perspective.
So Logan is the bet. I would say if you were making your bets, Logan would be your number one pick probably for the Mariners, followed by Kirby, and then your long shot is or outside chance, but still decent chance. I wouldn't say
Logan's top 10 in strikeouts with 99. Kirby is 12 with 96. So, and then Castillo actually has 100, so he's one more than Gilbert, so he's an 8th. But so we have basically 3 of the top 12 pitchers and strikeouts.
But yeah, I think there's a good possibility you'll see Logan probably one of the other two in one of those red or salmon colored hats that the All-Star game came and released. They released the hats. Once again, I feel like the National League got better looking stuff. What do you think?
Yeah, agreed. I mean, I'm still like going back to the All-Star game in LA that you went to, the black and gold. That I think that so far that's been the best in recent memory. I mean, ours was cool, obviously, just because it was Seattle, but having it be Julio's rookie year and the jerseys were pretty much on point, I think, and the way they looked.
I feel like Seattle, both times they had the All-Star game, I was just like, I wasn't sold on it on all the gear that they had, or else I'd be decked out in it from head to toe.
Yeah, agreed.
But the LA stuff was sick, but they did the worst job of like promoting that All-Star game, and they had the best gear.
I think they didn't have enough quantities either. It sold out. You couldn't get it. So they could have done a better job for sure, promoting and also having more supply.
Baseball sure has changed, Junior.
Yeah, the hexagon replaced the diamond.
And can you imagine facing 3 pitchers?
Emerson on base. Oh, the The base ejector got him snoozing. He goes
Why did
sailing.
it all change?
All sport. Game just got too easy.
The unsurpassed taste of all sport. A third more carbs than Gatorade for energy could make a difference.
Next up,
Your grandson's up.
Ken Griffey the fourth. He connects. It's going. Watch out, center point. Oh!
Center Bush got him.
He was robbed.
All sport body quencher. The game will never be the same.
July 7th, Sunday, July 7th. Tacos and Tequila live. The whole Rye Bread crew, or most of the Rye Bread crew, everybody says they're going to go, but you never know who's going to show up. But we'll be down there. We'll probably have some swag. We'll either be out on the patio or right inside of Tacos Tequila, because you know what? No matter what, the roof is open or closed, the bar or the kitchen is always open at Pioneers Tacos and Tequila right there on Occidental. Anything else that we forgot here?
I was going to say just some exciting news from the farm system, right? So 2 exciting players, Michael Arroyo and Lazaro Montes, got promoted to Everett from Modesto. So if you're up in that area, I think go check out Montes, because he's a stud. And
He's a
so is
stud.
Arroyo.
We've done a lot of Montez talk on here, and with Chris Estrada who works for the Modesto Nuts, and he was always big on Montez. He says he really got to know him quite a bit, and that was always like his guy. So yeah, he was destroying that league down there. It was kind of like he was in like one of those little leagues where they're just like, you got to get out of here, or what?
Yeah, his debut was last night, and he's already doing pretty well. I think he had 2 hits, he hit a home run off the wall. So yeah, it's exciting times up in Everett.
Gonna have to go up there. Gonna have to go get something to eat down at the Mukilteo ferry landing and go check out Montez for sure. I know Hannah will go there. I don't know if he still won't go to Mariner games held at T-Mobile yet, but he'll definitely go up to Everett with me. With that being said, we'll be back. Like I said, sometimes this week we'll have content. Do not worry. There'll be some sort of content coming out this week, but the live recording will be down there a week from this Sunday at Tacos and Tequila. And with that being said, CJ, you know what time it is. You've been working on it.